The hum of fluorescent lights overhead buzzed like an old radio left on too long. Owen Parker exhaled slowly, his back aching from the 9-hour shift behind the register at Hilltop Market, a locally run grocery store perched on the edge of a sleepy Austin neighborhood. It was nearly 8 p.m. on a Friday, and the store was alive with that strange suburban chaos, the squeaky cartwheels, impatient footsteps, and the soft soundtrack of pop music trying to make everyone feel like everything was okay. He wasn't supposed to be here tonight. He had swapped shifts to make room for his sister's checkup tomorrow morning. Sophie, his brave, wide-eyed, 8-year-old sister who had already endured more hospital beds than birthday candles. Owen glanced at the donation jar beside his register, a clear acrylic container with a cheerful handmade label, Help Dell Children's Hospital. Every coin counts. It was less than a third full. He swallowed hard. Sophie was one of those kids. Next, he called out, forcing a smile, brushing back his unruly sandy blonde hair. The next customer, a tall man in a plain black t-shirt, jeans, and beat-up sneakers, approached casually, placing a single protein bar, a chilled water bottle, and a small tin of mints onto the counter. No cart. No phone in hand. No rush. Just quiet, unbothered stillness. Owen didn't look up at first. He scanned the items like clockwork. "That'll be $7.88, he said, almost by reflex. The man handed over a handful of crumpled bills and coins. Owen counted them twice. "Looks like you're $1 short, sir." Then he looked up. The face. He recognized it instantly. Elon Musk. No mistaking those tired, piercing eyes or the casual posture that somehow made the whole store feel like background noise. His heart stuttered. "You're kidding me. Elon Musk, here? In Hilltop Market?" Elon blinked once, looked down at the money, and then back up at Owen. "You're right," he said simply. "I'm missing $1. The woman behind him gasped audibly. Someone dropped a jar of pickles down aisle 3. "Should I just run out to my car?" Elon asked, half smiling. Owen hesitated. Every instinct screamed at him to say, "Don't worry about it." The man was a billionaire, for God's sake. This was Elon freaking Musk. Letting him go short $1 wasn't going to ruin the store's ledger. But his mind flickered back to something his mom used to say before she passed: integrity is doing the right thing when it's a little uncomfortable. When it's inconvenient. That's when it counts. He looked down at the small sign taped to the counter. All items must be paid in full. No exceptions. He sighed. "Here goes nothing. I'm sorry, Mr. Musk, but store policy. We have to be consistent. No exceptions." There was a pause. A long one. And then Musk smiled. Not an annoyed smile. Not the PR kind. Something smaller. More curious. "Okay," he said. "Let me go grab $1." He turned. And that should have been it. Just a billionaire going out to his car to get some cash. But instead, Elon paused mid-turn. His gaze had locked on the small donation jar beside the register. He leaned in slightly, reading the cheerful sign about Dell Children's Hospital. A picture of kids in gowns, a rainbow logo, the words, "Help us help them smile again." His face changed. From casual to contemplative. Then, Elon reached into his back pocket, not for a wallet, but for his phone. Owen tensed. Was he calling someone? Ordering a rideshare? Filing a complaint? Elon's fingers flew over the screen, typing something fast. His brows furrowed. A few seconds later, he looked up and raised his voice. "Excuse me, everyone. Can I have your attention?" Silence fell across the market like someone had hit mute. "Hi," he continued, "my name's Elon Musk. And this young man here," he motioned toward Owen, "just told me I'm $1 short. And he's right. He didn't bend the rule, even when it would have been easier to." People stared, phones already rising to record. I noticed this donation jar here, he said, pointing to it. Dell Children's Hospital. I assume that's local? Owen nodded slowly. Yes, sir. They treated my little sister Sophie. She's still in and out for treatment. A flicker of something passed through Musk's eyes. Then came the twist. Well then, Elon said, his voice louder now, firmer. For the next 5 minutes, I'll match every single dollar donated to this jar by 10,000. Starting now. Gasps echoed. Someone dropped a bag of flour. Owen's mouth went dry. I've just transferred $50,000 to Dell Children's to get it going, Musk added, holding up his phone. But that's just the warm-up. Every dollar from this community, right now, becomes 10 grand. Let's see what we can do in 5 minutes. He paused, then handed Owen a crumpled dollar bill. Oh, and here's the one I owed you. The store exploded. People scrambled through purses, pockets, backpacks. Owen watched in disbelief as an elderly man behind Elon pulled off his wristwatch and tossed it into the jar. It's worth at least 200, he shouted. Do the math. A mother handed over a stack of wrinkled bills and whispered, my daughter was in Dell's NICU for 3 months. A group of teens ran to their car and came back with coins, crumpled birthday cash, and even a vending machine keycard. Owen glanced at the timer on his phone. 4 minutes to go. The jar filled up, then overflowed. Mr. Delgado, the store manager, ran out from the back with mason jars, salad bowls, anything that could hold money. Even the local coffee shop owner sprinted in barefoot, flour on her apron. I heard through the barista group chat. I brought the tip jar. The moment was electric. Charged. Unbelievable. But Owen couldn't stop thinking about Sophie. About her shy smile when she woke up post-surgery. About the way the nurses brought her apple juice with little umbrellas. Dell Children's didn't just save her life. They helped her live it. 30 seconds, someone yelled. A woman in scrubs burst through the doors and dropped her entire wallet in. Owen felt his throat tighten. All this because of one missing dollar? Then the timer buzzed. Musk clapped once. Time. Let's see what we've done together. Owen looked around. The store, his small, regular grocery store, looked like the aftermath of a charity rock concert. People were high-fiving, crying, laughing. In 5 minutes, something bigger than any of them had unfolded. And it wasn't over yet. The store manager, Mr. Delgado, whistled low under his breath as he stared at the towering mound of cash, coins, crumpled bills, and random jewelry stacked precariously on the counter. This is insane, he muttered. Owen barely heard him. His heart was pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. He wiped his sweaty palms on his apron, stealing a glance at Elon Musk, who stood calmly by the donation jars like he did this kind of thing every Friday night. Elon caught his eye and gave a small, knowing nod. Someone from the back called out, "We need more space." Mr. Delgado grabbed a couple of plastic storage bins from the stockroom. Owen, along with a few other employees and customers, scrambled to help transfer the overflowing donations into the containers. Phones were everywhere now, customers filming, FaceTiming relatives, posting live streams. Owen saw one woman sobbing quietly by the milk aisle, her hand pressed over her mouth. He didn't blame her. It was overwhelming in the best possible way. After 20 minutes of frantic organizing, the makeshift team managed to count up the cash donations. $2,357, Mr. Delgado announced, blinking at the final number. Someone cheered. Then another. The whole store broke out into wild applause. Owen grinned, feeling like his cheeks might split from smiling so hard. Musk nodded thoughtfully, tapping away at his phone. You multiplied that by 10,000, right? He asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. There was a beat of silence as the math settled in. $23,570,000. Owen thought he might faint. People started screaming, hugging strangers, jumping up and down like it was New Year's Eve. One woman near the bakery section actually fainted and had to be caught by a quick-thinking teenager. Elon Musk simply stood there, taking it all in, a slight smile playing at the corner of his mouth. "I've authorized the wire transfer," he said casually. "Dell children should have it by morning." Someone in the crowd shouted, "Why?" The question hung in the air. Owen felt his stomach clench. He didn't want anyone to ruin this. But Musk didn't seem offended. Instead, he raised a hand, signaling for calm. "I'll tell you," he said, voice even. The store grew pin-drop silent. "I don't talk about this often," Musk began, his hands clasped lightly in front of him. "When my first son, Nevada, was born, he was healthy, until he wasn't." Owen blinked. He had never heard Musk talk about his personal life this openly before. "He passed away at 10 weeks old," Musk continued, his voice steady but softer now. "Sudden infant death syndrome. No warnings. No way to fix it." A hush settled so deep that Owen could hear the buzz of the freezer units lining the back wall. "Since then," Musk said, "I've carried a quiet promise with me, whenever I encounter a children's hospital, and whenever I can. I will help." He looked around the store, his gaze sweeping across tear-streaked faces, clasped hands, bowed heads. "I saw the jar," Musk said simply. "I saw the kids. And I saw a young man who didn't make an exception, not even for me." Owen felt the heat rise to his face. Elon turned slightly toward him. "One rule. No exception. That's the kind of integrity I'll bet on every time." The applause started slowly, one person, then two, until it swelled into a tidal wave that filled every corner of Hilltop Market. Owen swallowed hard, blinking back unexpected tears. His chest felt too small for the gratitude and awe expanding inside him. This wasn't just about money. It wasn't even about charity. It was about hope. It was about remembering that in a world that sometimes felt broken beyond repair, there were still small moments where kindness, integrity, and humanity could break through and spark something extraordinary. Mr. Delgado rushed to Owen's side, his voice shaking. "Son," he said hoarsely, "you just made history." Owen didn't know what to say. He just shook his head slowly, his eyes still locked on Elon Musk, who was already tapping away on his phone, probably transferring millions with the same ease as ordering takeout. More flashes of cameras. More cheers. Someone outside was yelling for reporters. Within minutes, news vans began to pull into the parking lot. Lights flashed. Microphones appeared. Strangers Owen had never met wanted to shake his hand. Hug him. Thank him. He looked over at the donation jar, the tiny, humble jar that had sat ignored for months, gathering a few dollars here and there. Tonight, it had moved mountains. And somewhere deep inside him, Owen knew. This was only the beginning. The morning after the 5-minute miracle, Owen Parker awoke to 100 missed calls and over 1,000 text messages. His cracked old phone screen blinked like a stubborn lighthouse in a storm. For a second, he just stared at it, wondering if he'd dreamed the whole thing. But the voices downstairs told him otherwise. His mom was on the phone, crying and laughing at the same time. His stepdad was pacing, repeating "I can't believe it," over and over. And Sophie, sweet little Sophie, was sitting cross-legged on the worn-out couch, grinning so wide her missing front tooth was front and center. "Morning, hero," she chirped as Owen stumbled into the living room. The TV was on, tuned to a national news network. There, on the screen, was the Hilltop Market, swarmed by news vans and reporters waving microphones. And in the middle of it all, a slightly hunched young man in a green apron holding a donation jar like it was some kind of holy relic. It was him. Owen dropped onto the couch, his hands shaking. "You're everywhere, honey," his mom said, her voice thick with pride. "Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you're trending under #DollarMiracle and #OwenHonest." He blinked. "I'm what?" Before he could process it, his phone buzzed again. A call. Unknown number. His mom grabbed it and put it on speaker. Owen Parker, a professional-sounding woman, asked. Yeah. This is Diane Lewis from Good Morning America. We'd like to invite you to New York for an interview. We can have a car pick you up for the airport this afternoon. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. Another call came in. And another. Reporters. Publishers. Foundations. University deans. Tech CEOs. By noon, the mayor of Austin had called personally to thank him and invite him to a city council meeting where they planned to present him with an award. It was overwhelming. Surreal. Beautiful. But also terrifying. Owen wasn't used to attention. He wasn't the guy who won spelling bees or football games or student council elections. He was just Owen, the cashier trying to get through college and make sure his little sister had a shot at something better. Now suddenly, people were calling him a hero, a role model, a symbol. It was too much. He snuck out the back door and sat on the front steps, burying his face in his hands. The Texas sun was hot against the back of his neck. His mind spun with questions. What if he said the wrong thing on TV? What if he screwed it all up? The door creaked open behind him. Hey, Sophie said softly, settling beside him with her backpack still slung over one shoulder. He didn't look up. You're scared, huh? He chuckled bitterly. Terrified. She nudged him with her elbow. You know, you were scared when you held my hand in the hospital that night, too. He looked at her, confused. The night after my first surgery, she reminded him. You thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. I saw you. Your hands were shaking. You were so scared. Owen swallowed hard. But you stayed anyway, she said simply. You stayed with me all night. Even when you were scared. Sophie bumped his arm again, a mischievous twinkle in her eye. You can do scary things. You already proved it. Owen smiled through the sudden burn behind his eyes. Maybe she was right. Maybe courage wasn't about feeling fearless. Maybe it was about staying anyway. The next few days were a blur. Owen flew to New York, his first time ever on a plane. He appeared on national TV, stumbling over his words at first but eventually finding his rhythm when he talked about Dell Children's, about community, about Sophie. Everywhere he went, people wanted to hug him, thank him, tell him how his honesty reminded them of the good still left in the world. He met kids recovering from cancer, parents who had lost children but found new hope because of the donations pouring into children's hospitals across the country. The movement exploded. What had started in a grocery store became a national phenomenon. Start your own dollar corner, news anchors urged. Churches, bookstores, cafes, even gas stations set up donation jars in honor of the story. Hashtags trended. Celebrities pledged matching funds. Within 2 weeks, Dell Children's announced that the total donations, between Musk's match, the spontaneous giving, and corporate sponsorships, had crossed over $30 million. 30 million. Owen attended a press conference at the hospital where the CEO tearfully announced plans to build a new pediatric trauma wing, with a plaque dedicating it to the dollar that made a difference. Sophie was the guest of honor, standing shyly next to him as cameras flashed. But the most unbelievable moment came after the conference, when Owen was pulled aside by Elon Musk himself. The billionaire wore a simple black jacket and jeans, blending in with the hospital staff and volunteers. How's it feel, Owen? Musk asked with a small smile. Honestly? Owen laughed, rubbing the back of his neck. Like I'm standing in the middle of a tornado with a kick me sign taped to my back. Musk chuckled. That's about right, he said. Fame is weird. It's not real. But impact? That's real. You did something that matters. He paused, glancing around at the hospital bustling with families and kids. You up for doing more? Owen blinked. More? Musk handed him a card. On it, a simple name, the Ripple Project. We're building something, Musk said. Something permanent. Microphilanthropy. Small acts. Big waves. I'd like you to be part of it. Owen stared at the card. He wasn't just being thanked. He was being recruited. The scared, exhausted cashier from Hilltop Market, the kid who had once thought his only superpower was showing up on time, was being asked to help shape a movement. And in that moment, Owen realized something. The dollar wasn't the miracle. He was. They all were. Anyone who chose to act with integrity, even when it would have been easier not to. Anyone who chose kindness when nobody was watching. Anyone who believed that small things, done well, could change everything. The real miracle wasn't in the dollar. It was in the courage to believe it mattered. And Owen Parker was just getting started. A year had passed since the day Owen Parker told Elon Musk he was $1 short. A single, awkward, uncomfortable moment that should have faded into memory like a receipt in a pocket. But it didn't. Because something remarkable happened when Owen chose to do the right thing, even when the wrong thing would have been easier. That moment had become a movement. The new pediatric trauma wing at Dell Children's Hospital was already treating its first patients. On the glass entrance, beneath the hospital logo, bold lettering read, "The dollar that made a difference, in honor of everyday integrity." Owen stood beneath it now, arms crossed, heart full. He'd visited the wing twice already that week. Not because he had to, but because he couldn't stay away. Watching kids like Sophie get faster treatment, better care, and brighter futures, it reminded him that none of this was about headlines or hashtags. It was about real people. Real lives. Behind him, laughter echoed through the hospital's newly built art therapy room. Sophie was showing off her latest project, a papier-mâché rocket ship with a pink flag that read Mars or Bust. "She's something else," said Dr. Elaine Morris, the hospital's director of pediatric oncology. Owen smiled. "She always has been." Sophie was stronger now. She'd gone through another surgery last fall, but recovery had been smoother, faster, even. The new wing had been a game-changer. She no longer had to wait weeks for test results or drive hours for a specialist. Everything had changed. Owen reached into his backpack and pulled out a worn envelope. Inside was the original receipt. Protein bar. Water. Mints. Total, $7.88. Paid, $7.88. Cashier, Owen P. It had yellowed a little. He kept it not for the dollar, but for the moment. The moment he'd said no exceptions. The moment that turned the world slightly toward the light. Later that night, Owen sat in the shared co-working space in Austin's South End, headquarters of the Ripple Project, the initiative Elon Musk had quietly backed with $15 million and handed to Owen to lead. The foundation had grown rapidly. They now had teams in 8 states, supporting small community acts that sparked outsized change. A grocery store in Ohio raised $500,000 for homeless teens after hearing Owen's story. A second grader in rural Montana donated her tooth fairy money to start a children's reading center. A retired vet in Arizona gave his last $5 to a hospital collection jar and inspired an entire town to fund a hospice unit. Small acts. Big waves. Everywhere Owen went, people repeated the same phrase. "I used to think my little didn't matter. But then I heard about the dollar." He received letters from strangers, some scrawled in crayon, others typed in trembling fonts from hospice beds. They didn't talk about money. They talked about meaning. And in every letter, every story, every act of kindness sparked by that ordinary checkout moment, Owen saw the same truth. The world doesn't need more heroes. It needs more people who do the right thing when no one's watching. It needs more cashiers who say, "I'm sorry, that's the rule." More old ladies who empty their coin purse for kids they'll never meet. More little sisters with big dreams. Owen looked down at his phone. A message from Elon Musk blinked on the screen. "The project is working. More than I hoped. Want to talk next steps this week?" Owen smiled. The man who changed everything had simply lit the match. The rest? That belonged to people like Ruth, Sophie, Miguel, Lily, and the thousands of others who believed again that their small could be someone else's everything. He stood, stretched, and opened the back door to the co-working space. Outside, Austin's skyline sparkled with city lights. He pulled a folded dollar bill from his wallet, the very one Elon had mailed him last year, now laminated and framed. Owen held it up to the sky, the city humming softly below him. $1. So ordinary. Until someone believes it matters. Key lessons from this journey. Integrity isn't about grand gestures. It's about the small, quiet decisions we make when no one's watching. One rule. No exception. When applied with fairness and heart, becomes a foundation others can trust. Leadership doesn't always come with a title. Sometimes it comes with a green apron, a deep breath, and a gentle "I'm sorry, sir." A single moment, when met with courage, can ripple outward in ways we may never fully see. Recommended books to continue your journey. 1. The Power of One by Bryce Courtney. A timeless story about how one person's integrity can defy systems and uplift lives. 2. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. An essential guide to leading with purpose, because the why behind our smallest acts often becomes the engine for the biggest change. Pull out $1. Not to spend, but to remind yourself. Every act of integrity matters. Every time you choose kindness, fairness, honesty, you're reshaping the world. One ripple at a time. If this story stirred something in you, don't wait for perfect timing. Be someone's unexpected miracle today. Start small. Start now.